Welcome to Mile High Reefers. I'm Scott Anderson. And if you watched my last trading coral / tank update video, you'll know my big money at the top of the tank was stripping and dying. Well, that has stopped. And as with everything in life, when you suffer a big loss, there's opportunities that come with it. In this case, it's the opportunity to rescape the tank. It's early morning, we're under the heavy blues. I've tried to expose for me, the tank, all of it. So the picture looks weird. I've done my best, but this really is a weird thing to shoot under. But the goal for the tank today is to get rid of this section of coral. Well, not so much get rid of, but fix it. These Monties have grown all the way to the top of the tank. This one in front is about 2 inches from the top of the tank. The big red Monty in the back, we got about a 4-inch gap in certain places between the back of the tank and where I'm actually seeing coral. So this is a problem I've known about for a long time, and I've been putting off fixing it because it really is a major rescape. So the goal today is to take both of these big red Montipora colonies out of here. And then we'll break this one up and try to replant it with some of the frags. The big guy behind it, that encrusting one that's gorgeous, it's coming out of the tank completely. It's a beautiful coral, but it's really hard to manage. This is gonna give me a lot of opportunities for more rescaping. So, you know me, I love leathers. I'm gonna have a huge open section, so we're gonna rework our leathers section. How much of this is gonna get done today, how much of it's gonna get done in the future, I really don't know. But the long-term goal is to remove both of the big leathers and replace them with frags of these pieces. These are gonna become basically mother colonies. Right in here, as they are today, they're too big to work with, too big to cut. They're just a problem. But if I have them downstairs in the frag tank where I can remove them, cut them, do everything I need to, they're actually really nice corals. Plus, I've got more leathers that I'd like to add to this tank. Kaleidoscope over here is shadowing out the entire right back side of the tank. I've got a ton of new corals I want to fill that section with, so it's got to come, and we're probably just going to put a frag of it over here. I know, it sounds rough, pulling big corals and replacing them with frags of themselves, but I think it's gonna be my best option. So those are the main goals, plus we got some other little stuff we wanna do, so we'll see how far we get. But that's the rough plan as to what's happening today. Whenever I cut out a big Monty, I try to save some of the dead coral as basically rock. It can make a really cool aquascaping technique. So if you look at this, we've kind of got this little archway towards the bottom. My finger's not anywhere near the right place on camera. But this archway was made by the coral growing up. And you can see here we got this bit of a spire going up here. We're gonna try to cut it there and then leave this shelf in place. This is gonna provide some cool, interesting coral placement options. At least that's the goal. We'll see if we can get it out like this. This is not exactly the result I was looking for, but it's such a cool shot. So let's talk about what's happened here. All of this Monty was grown up to the back wall. You can see all the bubble algae that was on the back. That's where bubble algae likes to accumulate. Notice it wasn't really in the rest of the tank, just around the back.
where there was no cleanup crew. This is my big Spongoda. This is gonna make it really easy. I wanted to cut this off the reef. Now that it's out in the open, it's really easy. Here's that stylo, that's pretty cool. And then down here, you can see we actually took some of the rock structure. So this is old school Fiji live rock on the bottom. So we're cut all that off, but you can see all of this is old Manipura growth. So this entire structure above that rock down there, I grew over years. And now all I gotta do is clean it up and throw most of it away. Like, we'll save the live stuff, but most of this is just coral that grew and died and was replaced by more coral. Oh, damn. That's disappointing. I wanted the Spongoda to come out in one piece. We might even try to glue it together when we put it back in the tank. But for now, we're gonna get it out with as little damage as possible. There's a bunch of Spongoda frags. We're gonna switch techniques a wee bit, because that did not work. All right, there's the rock off. That's great news. We'll clean up more in a minute. All right, so we get more Spongoda out of here. Definitely want to get the Mani away from it. Spongoda is key at the moment. Cool. That was a result, not the planned result, but a result. None the same. Ah, damn it. Damn it. And I ended up throwing this piece of shelf in here so I could break off the bottom pieces of rock, getting them cleaned up. This is old school Tonga rock. It's pretty sweet, but I broke it, so I lost a little. It is permanently entombed on the bottom down there. I just keep breaking it, trying to get it out. And we got a little Mani on here we might try to get off. And here's the tank with basically 3 corals removed. That big kind of scrolling plating Mani's gone, all of that encrusting stuff's gone, and the Spongoda's out of here. Now, some of that's going back in, but you can see how much growth has taken place in this tank over the last 6 or 7 years. Everything was at the top of the tank. I couldn't really enjoy those corals, so now I can drop everything down and grow everything back up to the top of the tank. I love that floor to ceiling look. So now I gotta re-aquascape the back. We'll add those rocks back there, kind of fill in that, add a bit of a shelf. Then we'll fix all these corals. This cactus coral here, it is free. I can move it. I can place it wherever I want. It was trapped between 2 Manis, and now that Pavona I can put wherever I want. It's a big, pretty colony. This side was shaded out. We'll clean it up and we'll make it amazing. All right, I've gone ahead and glued that Pavona in. It's cleaned up. It's looking pretty damn good. You'll notice there's a little piece on the bottom kind of feeding up. That bottom piece broke off. So I glued it so it kind of looks like it's filling in that crack. So basically, I stuck it between 2 rocks and it looks like it naturally grew up. Pretty cool aquascape. That scrolling Manipura, I've gone ahead and put the best pieces in the tank. About 2/3 of it's downstairs. My favorite part about that coral was its growth pattern. So I've glued the pieces together in roughly the same shape it was in. So hopefully I can get that back. For now, hopefully this lives. This coral was stressed. We'll see what it does. But I put some downstairs just to hedge bets. I'm looking at the tank and I've decided pulling these big leathers today is too big of a project. I don't actually have room in the frag tanks for them. I mean, these things are massive. Like, there's my hand. Look how big that leather is. In fact, all the corals in my tank get to just stupid size. Like, look at this utter chaos. They are massive heads. They don't seem to do this in most people's tanks, but over here, they're huge. Let's come over and look at Grandis. My Pali Grandis. Grandis is a big-headed coral, or polyped coral. But look at it next to that Dragon Soul torch. That's 2 heads. A head of Grandis is as big as a torch head. It's freaking sweet. So what we're gonna end up doing though, I've decided, is we're gonna pull Kaleidoscope. We're gonna pull the Grandis. We're gonna make room for more of a torch type island up here. That's also gonna open up all of this. Now, Kaleidoscope isn't really that big. It's just really big for that space. So we're gonna pull Kaleidoscope and we're gonna bring it over here and we're gonna set it here. We'll find room for the Grandis kind of in this area. And we're gonna turn more of this into a leather garden. Since I've removed all of this coral, I actually don't need this Kessel here anymore. So that A160, I think we're gonna mount on the other side of the tank. And once we move Kaleidoscope and mount a Kessel, I'm gonna have a really cool area to mount coral. Oh, and I have some amazing coral to show you guys. I got Kaleidoscope moved over. It's looking pretty good. It's a long stem thing, so you can see I glued it down low, but it's gonna be able to grow up and out and really do good in there. Yeah, sorry, I'm using the old Panasonic. Autofocus is a little out, but you know, doing this kind of work using the less expensive camera is nice. So over here, you can see I left pieces of the Kaleidoscope. The trunk was grown onto the rock. I had to rip it off to get it off. It is what it is. The coral should recover. We're already making big lighting gains over here. Once we add that Kessel, we're gonna have a ton of room. So now with that coral gone, we've got all of these teal Discosomas, which I want gone. So I think we'll work on some of that before we move the light in Rescape. We're making progress. I added the Palithoas. I took some Grandis out of my other tank that weren't doing so well. They were getting covered by the blushing leather, so I put a piece of that up here and pulled those guys. They're gonna do a lot better. I also added some Devil's Hands. I don't think you guys have really seen these much yet, so those are cool. And now I've got a big open canvas to worry about. I think it's about time to move the light so I can start working on this side and see what I have available to work with. The other thing I need to do is trim back the Atlantis pink tip. This is a green Monty with pink polyps. It's really cool, but it's grown too far this way. It's shadowing everything below it. I got a bunch of cool LPS that would look good down there, including these fox coral. So we're just gonna trim this down, make it look better. We're gonna keep this basic look, just trim it back.
And here's the tank immediately after fragging. It looks completely different, doesn't it? Up top, you can see the fish are going crazy in there, just trying to find all the new stuff. One thing I am worried about is the big Monties is where my little clownfish lived, and now he's moved back behind that toadstool and the other guy's bugging him. So they'll have to sort that out. I've used this opportunity to bring more coral up for the basement. Got a little pipe organ on the bottom left. Then I got 3 Fabias up here. The big one's the one that I took downstairs to recover. It recovered okay. And I think up there, it'll do even better. And then the one next to it is an old school Fiji Fabia that I've had forever. And I'd really like to get it up here and see how we can color it up. The leathers are angry, to say the least. They're pissed off. The Grandis looks thrilled, but everything else leather-wise is angry. We'll just let it recover. I used this opportunity to move my torches around, and I added this lime green one in front. Unfortunately, when I was popping it off the frag plug, I broke the skeleton, so I glued the skeleton back together. We'll see if it lives, who knows. It's an unfortunate mistake, and I really should have been paying more attention. I recently picked up this Cinerina. It's a little on the bleached outside. That center should be much more green. I think it's gonna recover just fine, but the price I paid for it reflected the quality of this coral. It has the potential to be a beautiful coral, but it's gonna need some help. One thing I also want to point out with this Sinarina is you see the little white cap at the bottom? That's how I mount most of my Sinarinas and Acanthophylias. I can glue them to the rock, they have those pointy edges, and then it allows me just to give a little better mounting. They're a hard one to mount, especially on a rock, and that works pretty well. This is a full-on monster of a Sinarina. This thing is gonna be huge when it fully opens, so we'll kind of move some coral around as needed. I've moved fox coral to the bottom left corner of the tank. It should be a pretty good place for it now that it's cut down to size. It actually fits really well here. So we'll see how it does here. If it does well, this is where it's gonna live. I've gotten some new bubbles. This is a nice Indo green, spawning in that new open section, so it should be pretty cool. Above the green bubble are the two pearl bubbles. Right now, they don't look like they're filling much, but these guys should open up quite a lot. Next up is my Indo Acanthophylia. This is one I've had for about a year. It was in the corner where the fox coral is now. It kind of bleached out there. So now that this section's open, I think this is kind of the perfect kind of low to medium light for it, and we'll see how it does here. But I love this coral. It's looking amazing now that it's healed back up. It did exactly what that Sinarina we just looked at did. It just got pale. That's something we look for in Acanthophyllias, Sinarinas, Scolemia. When they get pale like that, it's usually too much light. Saving the best for last is this absolutely insane Acanthophylia. It might actually be Endophilia. I think it is Endophilia, but it is insane. It's red with that green center. It's beautiful, it's fat, it's healthy, it's awesome. This is a new centerpiece of this tank. I am stoked by the coral. It's just kind of too bad because of the way the coral is. It has to be in the corner in the low light area, but it's on the bottom where everybody can see it. It's fantastic. And there we go. There's the tank with everything I plan to do to it done today. I didn't touch the big leathers. They're a project for the future, but doing that will allow me to put more leathers in the tank. I love big corals, but these guys are too big. Yeah, the tank I think actually looks worse than it did when I started, but I've got a nice blank canvas in the center of the tank where I can really fill in a lot of my favorite SPS going forwards. So if you want to see that, like, comment, and subscribe. As you can see, I just bought a ton of new coral, and the plan is to fill the center with even more. So come back and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.